Welcome back into ESPN Chattanooga 95.3. We are here with a special feature today, and we're getting an absolute honor and a pleasure to talk to two people who have founded Guardian Caps. It's a special cap that is supposed to help protect football players specifically from head injuries, concussions, things like that. I don't know all that much about them. I'm sure you don't as well, but that's why we are now talking to the founders again of Guardian Caps, Erin and Lee Hanson. Guys, thanks so much for being here. And look at that. You guys got all the caps. You guys are ready to go.
We are set. We appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad we were able to do this. And first and foremost, tell me a little bit about your guys' background in football or in sports or whatever. And you know, where did this idea sort of blossom from? Tell us your story a little bit.
Sure. So Lee is a chemical engineer nerd from Georgia Tech, and we've had a material science business for almost 30 years called the Hanson Group. So what he does on the Hanson Group side is solve problems through engineering and science, and especially material science, urethane, technology, that kind of stuff. And so we have a lot of companies come to us to solve problems. Military, BASF, 3M, you know, we're lean and mean and solve problems quick. So we had someone come to us to solve they wanted to make a soft, flexible outer shell of a traditional football helmet. And that was like in 2010,
like 2010, yeah.
2010. Mm-hmm. And when that didn't fly at the time, it was too revolutionary at the time. They didn't want to change the look of the sport and the feel of the sport. We came away from all of those meetings going, man, somebody's got to do this. Somebody's got to flex the exterior of it. Maybe it's not a new helmet that costs the consumer hundreds of dollars. Maybe there's a way to retrofit every existing helmet on the market. You know, maybe all those helmets in the field house that this high school coach has already sunk his budget on, maybe we could make all of those better for practice, right? Take some of that impact off in practice. And so Lee and I came up with, it's just a soft shell cover that goes a one size fits all, pretty stinking inexpensive to retrofit any existing helmet and just take some of that impact. It takes about a third of the impact off and it weighs less than half a pound. So it looks deceptively heavy. It's not, it's, you know, light as a feather. So we're not putting additional strain on their necks. But we're trying to make every football helmet out there a little bit different and change the engineering up a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot at the high school level. We did a jamboree. We were covering a jamboree, and literally, like all of the players before they went out there onto the field and played the game, they all had the Guardian caps on. And you've seen them around now at NFL practices and college football practices and things like that. So it's really hitting all levels, which is really exciting. And you know, I never played organized football myself, but I can only imagine that something like this is really important to the youth players of the NFL, or not the NFL, but the youth players of our generation right now today, because it's all about sort of protecting their minds, protecting their heads that, you know, that aren't fully developed right now, correct?
Well, we feel like if you're lessening that impact over the course of a season, over the course of, you know, every year to year and over a player's career, it does add up. So if you start young, yeah, I think it's a definite hit count.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I just think, you know, reducing that accumulation year after year makes a difference. And, you know, and it's not everybody's rightly concerned about the head and the brain, but it's also it's helmet to, you know, it's the hands, it's a quarterback throwing and hitting the helmet in front of him. It's helmet to knee, elbow, rib. It's just padding that hard shell helmet so it can't be used as a weapon. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we do a good job of padding a goalpost, and then we give players hard shell helmets to hit each other with. So we feel like if you can take it off in practice, you're making a difference.
Have you guys tested these out yourselves at all? Have you strapped them on and gone out in the backyard at all?
Honestly, we have just to see it. But one of the greatest demonstrations we do is Erin or even I will do it. We'll take two helmets and we'll smack them together. You hear the loud crack, and then we'll take two with Guardian caps on, and you hold your hand out and you smash your hand as hard as you can. Doesn't hurt.
Wow.
You do that with a hard shell helmet. Yeah. And that's a great demonstration that you're not using the helmet as a weapon.
Yeah, that is a great demonstration. I wish you guys could do it right now because I would love to see it, because that's an amazing thing.
Yeah,
but
could do that.
Could you do it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, sweet.
This is me doing Erin's hand here. So
okay.
1, 2, 3.
Doesn't feel it. Don't feel it.
No. If I did that with a hard shell helmet, you would sue me. I'd be divorced right now.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. So yeah, let's not take the Guardian caps off, and let's not try that experiment that way. But yeah, that's incredible. That's really, really cool what you guys have been able to come up with there. Now, talk to me a little bit about the biggest obstacle in executing an idea like this, in making it a reality. Because once upon a time, I've tried to go through and I tried to have my own invention and tried to make something, and it didn't get off the ground. It seems like you guys are a lot smarter than I am and have better connections than I do. But so tell me a little bit about this.
I think a lot of it is just grit and grind, just sticking with it. And we came up with it was the science behind it. We proved the science is there. We had teams using it, and the anecdotal data coming back was, wow, it's working for us. It's doing exactly like you say. But it can change a paradigm out there of going from the regular hard shell helmet to a soft cover on the top of it. That's a big shift, and it takes people a long time, and most people will give up by now. I mean, it's been 12 years for us.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have given up by now. We haven't.
Yeah, I think for us, we've had, a lot of success on the Hanson side. And so for this was a passion, give back, kind of a moral obligation. Somebody's got to do it, and if not us, who? Because we felt like the hard shell helmet was showing to have, a detrimental impact on players over time if they continue to play, right? It's like if you keep doing the same thing the same way, you're going to get the same outcome. So we got to change that. And so we felt like we were making a difference. We heard that we were making a difference. Players would say, I don't feel fuzzy after practice. I don't have a headache after practice, because they're not hearing that loud crack with those vibrational frequencies. So when you're doing something for the right reasons, you just keep going. But I think the pushback was, scientists want you to be able to prove without a shadow of a doubt that it's 100% perfect. And you can't prevent concussions, all concussions, or the risk of concussion. I mean, you can hit a player in the chest and they can concuss. You can go face mask to face mask and not touch a cap, and a player can concuss. So no, there's no 100% foolproof, concussion-proof piece of equipment. But I think through changing rules and changing technique and improving equipment, you can definitely make it better. And so for us, better is good. And to a lot of scientists, if it's not 100%, it's not worth doing. And we disagree with that.
So again, we're hanging out with Erin and Lee Hanson, the founders of the Guardian Caps, as you see them there. And, is there a world in which you guys could see these becoming game use Guardian Caps, or is it strictly just practice?
Well, we started out just covering practice because you take a lot more reps in practice than you do in the game. And we didn't want to mess with the pageantry of the sport because we thought that they would just be completely, hesitant to try them. So we set out for practice. But
and we've had, teams in Tennessee have worn them in the games. We've got a lot of teams in Georgia and other places that wear them in basically the jamborees or the scrimmages. And this year, there's a team in Minnesota, Park High School up in Cottage Grove, that is wearing it in every game. They're wearing them in every single game.
Yeah, the NFHS permits it for games and practices, but we have a different version coming out next year that you can logo that looks a little bit better than we were reticent to change something that was working, but, had a lot of questions asking if we could, especially for the youth level, if we could make it to where they could logo it and wear it in games. I don't know that it'll ever be worn in games in the college and pro level, but,
never say never.
Never say never. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that we'd get to this point where players would be wearing these type of things in practice, and now maybe we get a chance to see it in a game. And like you guys just talked about, that we've already seen it at that high school level where teams are consistently wearing it in games, because if it keeps you any % safer, that's not a bad thing. That's what the name of the game is, because we want to be able to keep these players safe and as healthy as possible so they can continue to play the game that they love.
Well, I think the NFL opened a lot of doors for us because, based on testing over the last decade and interviewing college programs, the NFL mandated it for the first time last year. and then they expanded the mandate this year, and they saw more than 50% reduction in concussions in practice after the mandate.
Wow.
So once they're putting that kind of statistic out there, I think that helps a lot of high school programs feel comfortable. We set out for the young guys, the young developing brains is why we started what we did, but all that filters down, right? If the NFL and the colleges are doing it, then the high schools and the youth kind of follow. So it's kind of cool to see that. After a lot of years of grinding the pavement, getting laughed at.
How long did it actually take you guys to get this the Guardian Caps up off the ground and really making some headway and spreading them throughout all levels of football?
I mean, we probably designed it up in 2011. 2012 was the first year we actually got it on. And actually, South Carolina and Clemson were the first two teams to adopt it in 2012, and they're still using it.
Yeah.
But from 2012, it was just a slow, steady, and it wasn't, you never saw us advertising out there. We don't make outrageous claims. We just let coaches talk to other coaches and people talk to each other and spread the word that way. And that's the way it's been growing. And it's just continually growing until this year with the NFL. Then next you know, we're showing up on ESPN, which is fantastic.
That's some good advertising right there.
That is. Yeah. Any way we can spread the word and help more kids. I mean, that's the mission of the company, is to help as many players as we can.
Absolutely. Again, Lee and Erin Hanson hanging with us here on ESPN Chattanooga, the founders of Guardian Caps. Talk to me a little bit about your partnership with the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, they reached out about 5 years ago, and they saw some great results, and they just kept building and building. I think they're up to maybe 150 caps, I think, this year. So I'm pretty sure almost every player except quarterbacks are in them.
Wow, that's awesome. And you guys doing a lot of good stuff here in the, as you mentioned, in the state of Tennessee and in Georgia as well, which is right near us here. And, so my last one I think I would ask you guys is what are your thoughts on future concussion tech at any and all levels of football?
I think we're finding out a lot through the use of this. We knew that the padding would help, reducing the impact would help. What we're finding out through the testing, now that testing is incorporating rotational, we're finding out that it's actually the movement around the helmet that's really making a difference. So that cap is moving slightly. It's attached with elastic bands, so that movement helps redirect the energy around the head. And it keeps the helmet underneath about 20 degrees cooler. So I think reducing sound and vibrational frequencies, reducing impact, independent movement.
Keeping the helmets cool.
Yeah, I think all of it is playing in, and I'm hoping that goes not just, not what we're learning in the reduction of injury through the Guardian Cap. I'm sure that the helmet companies are incorporating into their design changes. So, I think as a company, we work with other companies. We can, collectively as an industry make things better for players.
Yeah, I think we've changed the thought of what a helmet should do. Instead of just being a hard shell that it stops the skull from being cracked, it's actually giving that movement around the helmet and all the other factors that we have in there. And we're changing the technology, the whole technology.
You guys are changing the game. It's clearly remarkable what you guys have done in for the game of football and protecting players and people and things like that. It's an outstanding thing. Now, if somebody is part of a football organization or a school or something like that and sees this conversation and they want to kind of get involved and get their program or their school involved with Guardian Caps and getting some and whatnot, how do they go about doing that?
We have individual units now at some Dixon Academy and Shield stores around the country. Group purchases, we like them to just fill out a quote form on guardiansports.com or reach out, because we discount for bulk purchases. We like to get it down to, in the 50s per kid. And, youth players last about 5 years. So you're looking at $10 a year.
Wow.
You don't have a Guardian Cap. So we're trying to make it as inexpensive as we possibly can. So if they want to reach out through guardiansports.com, we'll lead them in the right direction.
Okay, awesome. Now, and speaking of guardiansports.com, you guys mentioned me off the air that you guys do more than just football. So what are some other things that you do at guardiansports.com? And it's not like guardiansfootball.com or whatever it is. So what are some other things that you guys do there at guardiansports.com?
Our son was playing football while we were developing some football stuff. So as a parent, that was part of why we went this direction. And then our son decided to be a lacrosse goalie. So he was a goalie at Georgia Tech, and he's getting a ball thrown at him 100 miles an hour that was hard as a rock, which is not a great position to choose, but he loved it. And so Lee went to the lab and made a better ball. So our Pearl lacrosse ball, I think it's used by most of the
top teams, NCAA teams are using pearls. Notre Dame used this last year. Virginia, Maryland, all the rest of them are using it.
So it's a urethane ball. We care about the safety of it. It never gets hard. It never gets greasy or slick. The players like it because it comes out of their stick the same way consistently.
Yeah, it keeps that grip every day for the next 5-10 years. I mean, unless you lose it, it's going to keep that grip. So when you're throwing out your stick, it comes out the exact same way every time. So when you practice, when you play, and that's why they're using it. And it's doing great things.
Yeah, so Pearl lacrosse ball, and then we retrofitted the cap. It fits on the hockey helmet now, so we're going to start launching hockey in the very near future. And then we're doing some stuff for fields instead of that rubber infill, like the black pellets that get in your shoes that are hot as heck. We've got a bio-based infill that keeps the field about 30 degrees cooler.
Wow.
And so it's puffed with air to reduce the Gmax, and it's got a reflective agent to keep the field cooler.
And when you walk across the field, your shoes don't fill up with that rubber that's in there. This actually low splash, stays down, gives you great torque, great Gmax protection.
Yeah. So
a lot of benefits.
It's kind of cool, Greg. We're just trying to, as we see problems along the way, we're trying to come up with a solution through science. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Stay tuned.
Wow, I can't wait to see what's next. I coach a youth baseball organization's like select baseball team, and we're playing on all these turf fields, and everybody complains about how hot it is out on the turf field. Like, if you guys got that stuff in turf fields, that would be outstanding, because I've had shoes like literally melt off on turf fields. It's been terrible.
Our son was dancing in the goal. And I'm like, dude, why are you dancing in the goal? He goes, I'm not dancing. My cleats are melting to the turf. So, yeah.
Just south of you is old carpet country, Dalton, Georgia, right there.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where we're working with all the guys down there, all the guys in Dalton, and a lot of them are putting it in. We've got over 10, 12 million pounds around the country that are keeping fields cool already. So
it's kind of cool.
That is really cool. You guys are super smart. It's been an absolute pleasure to get an opportunity to talk to you guys. I love all this technology you're doing. As somebody who's an avid sports person, and somebody who works with the youth of sports too, I know baseball is kind of, I don't know if you guys are planning to get into baseball at all, if you put those on like a baseball helmet or something like that, but you guys are doing a lot of really cool things. So really appreciate the conversation, and thanks so much for being here again. Erin and Lee Hanson, the founders of Guardian Caps. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care.